Hello, we are here today to talk about a question that we get all the time, and that's how to handle the how much do you want to make or are you looking to make question on an interview. This is something that really becomes challenging, especially for the women and people that we work with that have a career break.
Right, because if you had a career break, you may have no idea how much you want to make.
Right.
Or how much you could make. So I think the first thing you need to do is be informed. Right. There are so many tools available to you, whether it be Glassdoor, other just general chat rooms, interviews with people, talking with people in the industry. You should always go to even a very first interview with some idea of how much is being paid for that job. So it's a part of your
interview prep.
Yeah,
right?
For
so
sure.
You want to arrive informed,
knowledgeable, and especially if you've had a long gap, because back in the 90s, making $150,000 seemed like so much money, and it's not that it's not, but it's not the same in the 90s as it is now in the 2020s.
Right.
So be informed. Then the second thing is to look at where you are in the interview, because this answer will change depending on it. So let's talk about that first interview.
That early interview.
With just the first frontline recruiter, or maybe with an agency recruiter, and you ask me, well, Susan, how much do you want to make?
Okay, Susan, so I have to take this information down. Sure. And what are you looking to make in this, in this role?
So the best way to answer that would be to delay things. You're really in no position to talk about pay yet. You just met the person. So I would say, Kelley, this is really early. I would not really be prepared to name a number yet because I'm not even sure what the job is. I haven't met the manager. I'm not really sure what the responsibilities or the clients would be. Once I have that information, I think I'll be in a better position. But if you have the range and you want to run it by me, that would be great. I'd love to know that.
Right. So essentially what you're doing here is you are, number one, delaying,
and
then you're also pitching it back to them.
Right. In a nice way. Like I worked with a private client the other day who said, I said, what would you say if they asked you this question? He'd say, well, how much do you want to pay me? That's just a little too abrupt.
Yeah.
And just kind of inappropriate. This way, it's very conversational. I'm being honest. I'm not ready.
Right.
So that's a great way. And they're not going to push you there because that frontline person can't give you all the information about the job, about the clients, about the team.
Right.
So now you've bought that time.
Right.
So now you're in the middle.
Okay.
Now
so
you're
mid-interview.
Yeah, you're interviewing with the team, maybe the manager, and ask again.
Okay. So we have had a few interviews now, and I would like to just discuss salary and what you're looking to make in this position.
Sure. So again, you don't want to get into giving a number. So I think the best way to handle this, especially if you're a career returner, most of our career returners have had some odd jobs along the way. Maybe they had a bigger job before. So again, we're going to be kind of vague. Well, Kelley, it's an interesting question. I've been thinking about it because my pay has been so varied. I mean, back when I was in tech, I was making a lot of money.
Right.
And more recently, as I've been doing some gig work and consulting, I've made less. And I don't make my decision primarily on just on the number. I'm making my decision on a variety of factors. So I know from my research that a role like this is probably paying in the 180 range plus other incentives. So I'd be really curious to hear if I'm in the right ballpark. What is the range for the position?
Okay, so essentially you are laying out your past, giving you.
So I'm letting them know that I really made a lot because if you're a returner, people will try to get you on the cheap because they know that you haven't made any money or not much money in the last 5, 10, 20 years.
Right. So you're dropping that credibility factor that, just reminding you of who I am.
Yes, and I was a big earner and I'm expecting to be a big earner. And then letting them know that you've done some research. And always, if you've done the research and you've seen a range, throw out the highest number.
Yes.
And then say, so does that seem like about the right ballpark? Is my research accurate?
Right.
So I'm not saying, am I asking for the right number? I'm not committing to that number.
Yeah.
I'm asking them if my research is vetted by their actual pay. And again, I'm asking for the range.
Right. Okay.
So this time I want you to give me the range because usually at this point they will tell you, well, we're looking at, and they're going to go probably on the lower side.
So our range here is between 150 and 175.
Okay. Well, I think if we could look at the highest end of that range, we'd be okay. But again, there are other factors I want to consider.
Okay.
So even if I've never made the equivalent of even $150,000, no matter what number they tell you, when they give you a range, you always say, I think I'd be comfortable at the higher end of that range. In this case, I said the highest end because I was coming in thinking that the range would be 180.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All
Okay,
right.
so now we've progressed to the final interview.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about when this question comes up in that scenario.
So usually a final interview is with someone who has the authority to give you the yes, right? You don't really want to enter into the conversation of and never enter into a negotiation with someone who doesn't have the power to give you the job.
Okay.
So you're not negotiating with a recruiter. You're not necessarily even negotiating with a higher level HR person. Your best negotiating is going to be with the person who wants you, which is the hiring manager. So if this final interview is with that person, and again, so tee it up for me.
So Susan, you are really, think you are a great fit for this position, and we are excited about having you come and work for our company. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about, how much you're looking to make in this position.
Well, in a prior conversation with HR, they had told me that the higher end of the range is about 175. My research has shown that the average is about 180. And in the other places that I've been interviewing, the numbers have been closer to 200. So, I really love this opportunity. I really want to work with you. I would like the finances to work out, but I'm really looking more in the 200 range.
All right.
Okay. So I have done this. I've let her know that HR said 175, but that doesn't really bear out based on my research. I've also let her know that I'm talking with other companies. You may not be actively talking with other companies. You may not have any other offers on the table, but if you are in the process, if you've got an interview scheduled, if you've met with a recruiter, you still are talking to people. You still have potential offers. So you can kind of stretch that a little bit. And now if Kelley really wants me, she's going to go back to HR and say, we got to give this person 200.
Right. And the other piece to highlight is you were very direct. You did not sort of meander
No,
around.
at this point, you're being direct.
It was, let me give you all of the steps that I've taken, and now I'm going to be direct with you about what I really want to make. But it took you until this final interview to be that direct, because this is a process.
Right. The other thing is that it's buying me some time. If you throw a number out to a recruiter at that very beginning of the journey, and the number's out of line, they're going to take you right out of running. So you don't want that. So, in this case, I also let Kelley know that I really want this job, and the way my voice was undulating, she could see that I want this job more than I want those other maybe pretend jobs. So she knows that if she can't get to 200, I'm still going to be listening. But she's going to try to get to 200 because she wants me.
Right.
Okay.
So there you have it. That's the progression of how to handle that. How much are you looking to make a question on an interview? And it could come up multiple times throughout the process. So if you liked what you heard today, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to learn more about Prepare to Launch You, you can visit our website at www.preparetolaunchu.com.
We come out with new content every week. I think we're going to have to do one on negotiating that offer too at some point. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Thanks.
Take care.